Hey guys, it's Penelope in London, and if you're new to my channel, please do subscribe. I basically talking about astrology and how we can heal through using astrology as a tool. Carl Jung, if you do or do not know, you can always Google. He began with psychoanalysis and also used symbolism. He was born in 1875. That's just a bit of knowledge for you. And symbolism is a very old tool that has been used since the beginning of time, and part of that divination is astrology. So what I want to do is talk about Chiron, because in society, we're born, we have early imprints, maybe past life if we believe in past lives, and what we have is a Chiron in our chart that shows where our wound was, and at a soul level. So I'm going to show you mine. This is my chart here on Solar Fire. With my date of birth and time there. And what you have here is Chiron, which I'm going to explain a bit to you about. And my Chiron, my IC is 2033, that's the degrees, and my Chiron is 2535. So my Chiron is conjunct my IC, and also this is the 4th house, and also in Pisces, and I've got Saturn also conjunct Chiron, so I've got a conjunction of both to my IC, which is, an angle. You've got the AC, the IC, the DC, and the MC, and they all refer to different parts of our lives. So Chiron on the chart, it's about our healing journey, and it's like a bridge. It's where we, as we go through life and Chiron transits the chart, it takes 49 to 51 years to go all the way around the chart. The moon, as an example, takes 28 days. The sun takes a year. The sun is here. The sun takes a year around the chart, but Chiron takes 49 to 51 years. So once we start, doing our work and we understand what the wound is, this is what we can understand where Chiron is and the aspects it's making to other planets. So an aspect is where one planet is speaking to another planet, and we also have transits. So I'm going to show you something that I love about Solar Fire, but I'm going to show you what transits are. But you can see here that Chiron is opposing my Pluto, or opposing my MC, and it's also opposing my Pluto and my Uranus there. And the other thing that my Chiron does is that it's trying to my, sextile to my North Node, and also to my Mars, and also to my Mercury. So this is meaningful. And then it's also trine to my AC here, and it's also trine to my Neptune, and that would also be my South Node. If you look here, the North Node, which is this path in life, and the South Node. So I do read charts as well. So if you feel a bit confused about what I'm showing you, then you can always book a session for me. I'm doing a deal while we're on our social distancing lockdown stuff. So understanding Chiron, it's the deepest wound in us. It's our deepest wound. And what we tend to do is that we guard our wounds. And this is, where we get reactive to, or we can be triggered, and we can have fight, flight, freeze, fawn response to events if we've been mistreated. For me, it was in the family home, and it was to do with, parenting, and it was in the home, and the opposition will show, it was also, it just digs deeper the more you look at the aspects. I won't go into all of that now, but Chiron is about becoming aware, and it's about where we have our own battles, and the more prepared we become and we understand these transits as it moves through the houses. So from birth, I was born in 1966. In 2017, this is my natal chart, it had gone all the way around. And then in March 2017, it was conjunct here. So I'm going to show you to understand transits. If I click here and I put in, you can see in this start date, we've got the 1st of July 2020. And then we've got years. So I'm only going to look at a year here. And I'm going to click natal, because I'm not relocated. And I'm going to go view. So hopefully you see this now. These are all my transits for the year ahead, like the main transits. And what I'm going to do, so you can see here, we've got the planet, transit planet. We've got the aspect. we've got the natal planet here on this side, and then we've got the dates, and then these are the degrees. So not to confuse you too much, but I'm going to click on and here, and we're going to go down and we're going to look at my Chiron. So what is my Chiron up to? What is my wound? You know, where am I healing? What is my wounding about? So for the year ahead, we got the 23rd of August. It had Chiron, semi-square, Mercury. So that has a definition. It's an aspect. Then I've got Chiron, and it's going to square my Neptune on the 8th of November. And then it's going to, because it's going retrograde, Chiron's going retrograde right now, then it's going to do the same when it goes forward on the 21st of January. Then it's going to square my Mercury again as it goes forward again, because we've got a retrograde. I hope I'm making sense here, but if you do need help, do know this is what I do. Then Chiron, square Mars, then Chiron, square my North Node, and then Chiron, sorry, that's semi-square, and this is a square. This is 135 degrees. This symbolism here is 45 degrees. So 45 degrees, 135, you can see. So now I'm going to click on, to see the other angle, I'm going to look on my natal planets here. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to go to my Chiron. And you can see here that the transit Uranus will be semi-square to my Chiron on the 30th of July. That's already happened. Then my North Node is going to be square Chiron. So I've got this going on at the moment. So if I click on this, I'm going to show you. So it says the transiting North Node square my Chiron, okay? And then I'm going to actually tell you what that means as well. It means basically that I'm looking at my wound. I had a bit of paper here, but I'm going to have to find it again. So it basically means that I'm looking at my wounding. I might come out of the spotlight and see if I get a, here. Okay. Okay, here we go. There you go. This is, that's Uranus semi-square my Chiron as an example. So it says, you know, it's time for me to face the truth, no matter how painful, you know, that I can't hide anymore. It's common for areas of our lives to become stale. Inside we have changed and grown. So this is Uranus semi-square my Chiron. So does this make sense? And then I've got two hits here. So I'm going to come out of that. And you can see, if I go back to date, we can see the transits that I've got going on until 2021, okay? So I can see then what areas of life I'm working on, which is very useful to me. And then what I want to do is come out of this here. I'm going to stop share for a minute, and then I'm going to come back to Solify. I'm just doing something here, and then I'm going to show you the transits I've got at the moment, which will make more sense to you. So not transits, I'm going to show you a bi-wheel, but I have to click on to the dynamic, which is the bi-wheel. And then I'm going to share my screen again now, so you're going to see my screen. Okay, right, so here, this is a bi-wheel. On the inside, you've got my natal planets, if you recall, where I've got my Chiron and my Saturn. And on the outside, we have where the planets are right at this moment in time. So we've got the moon is in Scorpio at 9 degrees at the moment. And then we've got, that moves quite quickly, as 28 days around the chart. And then what we've got is my Chiron is here, the transit Chiron is here in my chart for me. It's going to be different for everyone. So I currently know that for me, Chiron is in my 4th house. So what am I working on? What am I healing at the moment? So then we would look at, you know, is it making a conjunction? Is it making an opposition to anything? Is it trining anything? And this is where the transits really get useful. So let me explain. I'm going to go through the houses briefly. If you have Chiron transiting in your 1st house right now, your wound would be about the way you appear to others, and that you might be trying to appease others as well. And it's about defining yourself and finding meaning in your life. And you know, it's where you might feel unworthy. So if it was in my first house, then I might be feeling some unworthiness at this time. This is very brief, by the way. If it was in my second house, then this would be to do with my sense of self-worth and seeing my own sense of self-worth. So I've already had that. Chiron would have been back there years ago. And, you know, it takes time to move around a chart. If you imagine that we've got, you know, if we take 50 years and divide it between 12, on average, you know, it's taking 4 years, depending on the size of the house, by the way, and other factors. You know, if we say that it takes about 4 years a house, but it's going to be different for everybody because of the charts. So then if we look at the third house, you know, if it was in your third house and it's transiting in your third house, the deepest wound in there is to do with the communication, and you might feel that you're being misunderstood. And, you know, it could be that you might have problems expressing yourself and what you truly feel and stuff like that. But for me, you can see it's in my fourth house. It's going to be leaving my fourth house. Let's have a quick look here and see. We're going to go months ahead. When does it leave my fourth house? You see it's going retrograde there. So now it goes forward, and it's going to leave my fourth house after many years on the 24th of July 2021. But it'll probably go retrograde again, go back in and out. Okay, so in the fourth house, this is where I've been healing my difficult childhood, where I've been cast out and as a child, and where I've, you know, basically I didn't have a childhood with that Chiron in the fourth house. It's really difficult for people with that placement with Chiron there. And also because it's on top of Saturn, that caused a lot of restriction for me. So it's where we're breaking free of chains that hold us back. And it, you know, it really affects the soul with that fourth house Chiron there. So I've been experiencing that in the last few years as it's transited through my fourth house. Now, if you've got it in the fifth house, this is about creative expression. So there can be a lot of pain around our own creative expression. So when that goes through my fifth house, you know, I can look to that. What does it mean to me? Where am I feeling wounded around that? But again, you can look at your natal placement and the transit with this. Also in the sixth house, this is about daily needs and health and work. And, you know, we might feel like we're hypochondriacs when it moves for the sixth house, thinking there's something wrong with us. It can also be where we're obsessed with routines or become inflexible around work and whatever. And if it's transiting the seventh house, then this would be to do with our close relationships. And it could be to do with, you know, having a tough time with relationships. Or if it was there natally, then it can be where we've had a rough relationship or toughness with parenting, you know, with our parents. So it could be, again, this is another difficult placement, you know, to understand that what we seek is not outside ourselves, and we might be fearing rejection with that there as well. In the eighth house, the wounding is about our connection to others, where we merge with others. And it could also be that we've got people depending on us, or we're depending on others. And it can be a difficult time emotionally as well. You know, we can feel quite sad, or, you know, but again, it depends on the aspects. So there might be supporting aspects to it. So it's not all doom and gloom. And once we've gone through our first Chiron return, which I did, if we go back, I'm taking this chart back, you're probably seeing it move. If you can see here, I'm going back to 2017. It's going back. If you watch this, I love solar fires. So you can see, I'm going to show you what the conjunction was. No, it's going too quick. We're going, there you go. So you see here, it was 22. It was just coming up. That was September 2016. It was really on my Chiron already then. And then if we go forward a month, it was going retrograde, and then it would have gone forward again. So it was there. This was the 24th of March, 2017. And I had chaos when that happened because, you know, my inner work was stalled. But since then, I had 2 years of psychoanalysis, trauma psychoanalysis, and worked on my childhood quite deeply, and the wounding and the triggers. And I feel very good now. You know, I'm in a good place. So what we've got then with the eighth house, we then go to the ninth house with what that would mean. And that would show it's about expansion, and it's about travel and our, you know, how we're thinking and our philosophy. So it's about transforming our belief systems at that point, when it moves through the 9th house. And it is deeper than that, so don't just take that as being really simple as I'm giving it to you right now. Then you've got Chiron in the 10th house. This is about the reputation, you know, our public image in the world when it transits there. And, you know, it's where we might want to be seen as, you know, that we're organized and that we've accomplished something great in life. But we may find it difficult to see our self-worth, or others to see our self-worth. And then we would have to look at that area. And we also might be afraid of succeeding, you know, because we're afraid to fail, as an example. And then in the 11th house, it would be, if it was transiting your 11th house, then this is about your friendships and hopes. And you could feel quite lonely as it's moving through there, you know, that you're unique and that you don't fit in, and you could have issues around that. And then in the 12th house, it would be to do with your, you know, the unconscious. And the 12th house is, that, you know, about endings as well. It's to do with the unconscious and what's below the surface. And we might feel that we, you know, need to pull away from others and go into our own private world at that time when it moves through the 12th house. And there might be frustration around that as well. So, you know, astrology is a beautiful tool to explore our early wounding, and I suggest that you get your own chart out and you look to where that is. If I go ahead now, I've got March 2017 up here, but if I go ahead to where we were, which is 2020, March, April, May, June, July, August, here we are, 24th. So for me, I've got, this is 45 degrees from my natal Chiron, so Uranus here. So, you know, I'm breaking free of some form of limitations about my past. And it's painful when we break free as well, because sometimes there can be fear based on breaking free of things. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and book a session if you want to dig deeper on your own chart with me. Okay, catch you later. Thanks for watching.